Now he's able to take on Jiren at his best and push him to his limit, as Jiren is forced to use everything he has to keep up with Gohan. But even then, Gohan still has the advantage. His red sparks would surround his Super Saiyan Rage state as his eyes are red, as now they're swapping blows evenly. Though somebody arrives to tip the scales of the fight. Broly, in his full power Super Saiyan, he's pushing him back. Though he's then able to access a new state from his training with Beerus, True Ultra Instinct, using his Saiyan instincts with Ultra Instinct to the best of his abilities. He's now able to keep up with Jiren with Gohan as well. And now together they team up and blast away Jiren, seemingly defeating him, though Jiren pushes his limits and adapts, as this limit-breaking battle makes all three way more powerful. Welcome to the full story of what if Gohan became the protagonist of Dragon Ball. Apologies for the audio, and let's get into the story. As Dr. Beerus finishes the gravity ship, he sends Goku on it, as the ship would then blast off and head to space. And Dr. Beerus would think and realize that he put the wrong coordinates, and wonders where Goku will go, as the ship would fly through space, heading to a planet very unknown to Goku and the others. The ship arrives a day early, and Goku goes out and is surprised to see not green people but purple and green people, as he realizes he's not on Namek, though the green people decide to help him and send him to Paibara, who would try and help him since he read his mind and realizes that he has good intentions, so he would train him in spirit control to try and save his friends on Namek. Goku would go through much more intense training than Vegeta from the canon story in the manga with the time limit, though he would excel thanks to him being good at meditation, meaning he could pull it off and get the benefits of spirit control. And if I would say where his power level would be, I'd put him around 600,000-700,000, as it is a big boost, but not such an insane boost that it would destroy everything and make him stronger than Frieza. So he would get ready to leave, thanking Paibara for the training and teleporting as close as he can to Namek. The battle between Nail and Frieza would be intense, though Frieza would easily dominate, beating on Nail and proving why he's the Emperor of the Universe and not Nail. Though as the fight's about to finish, Goku would arrive and realizes he teleported to the wrong place and he has a lot more work to do with instant transmission. Though Nail will tell him to go and help his friends as he can handle Frieza, though that is hard to believe in his injured state, Goku would still leave and go help Gohan and Krillin. The Ginyu Force had already arrived on Namek and had wreaked havoc. Even though Goldo was defeated by Vegeta, the other fighters had been defeated by Recoome, with Recoome breaking Gohan's neck and defeating Vegeta with a full power blast, as even Krillin wasn't safe and nearly killed, though Goku arrives and lands a powerful hit to his chest. And just like canon, he's able to defeat Recoome with a single attack, impressing the Ginyu Force as Jace and Birder, the speedy duo, take on Goku. Though Goku doesn't take them too seriously, as he just uses instant transmission to dodge around them, and using his higher speed, is able to defeat the duo's even strongest attack, the purple cyclone thing. And then after, Goku is able to then attend to Krillin and Gohan, saving Gohan's life, and going after Ginyu by using his instant transmission to teleport to him. As Frieza and Ginyu tried to get the Dragon Balls to work, it's just not working, as they're just not responding to their commands at all, though a blur would suddenly appear in front of them. Frieza would demand Ginyu to fight Goku, as Ginyu would attack, and Goku with only a quarter of his power is just dominating him, as his power level of 700,000 is just way too much, and even with a quarter, he's still above Ginyu, as Ginyu would then eventually use his scouter, realizing Goku's power, and would see a power level of over 300,000, as Ginyu would freak, realizing that this could be a chance to gain a power boost, as he then decides to use his ultimate technique, the Change Now Beam, or the Body Change technique, and he stabs himself through the chest and fires out the beam at Goku with everything he has to try and hit him. Though, at the last minute, Goku decides to use instant transmission and is barely able to react to the attack, and is able to instant transmission away, though he does one mistake by doing this. He leaves Frieza wide open as Frieza's caught off guard and hit by the Change Now beam, as Ginyu realizes his power and decides to finish off the Frieza in his body using a death beam, which kills Frieza in Ginyu's body, and Goku's just kinda confused by the whole situation. As Ginyu Frieza celebrates with his power, and he decides to fight Goku, and since Frieza doesn't have ki control, he's able to use his full power unlike with Goku. Though Goku's able to knock him around with instant transmission, shocking him as he realizes the Saiyan was actually stronger than even Frieza's first form. As he tries to transform, he realizes he doesn't know how, as Goku would beat him around, and using instant transmission would body Frieza. As Ginyu Frieza tries to do his best, but he's just unable to counter Goku's power. He's just too strong, too skilled, and the instant transmission is just too good for Frieza, as eventually Goku would get ready to finish it, and would knock Frieza away with a full power kick, before then charging up a Kamehameha, and firing it at the Emperor, with Ginyu Frieza just not being able to handle the attack, and seemingly being defeated by it. Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta would arrive and see that he had defeated Frieza, with Vegeta being jealous while Gohan and Krillin would celebrate with him, as all of them would celebrate, until Goku would be blasted through the chest, as Ginyu had instinctively transformed into Frieza's final form and killed Goku now, with posing with the Ginyu Force poses, before then monologuing about how he's the best and how no one can stop him, how he's gonna rule the universe and how he's gonna make all the money. But as this happens, Goku decides to teleport away, realizing that it's a lost cause with how strong Frieza is, using that, sense of combat and realizing that there's no point in fighting, teleporting to the strongest power he can sense, with Ginyu Frieza being enraged, before then killing Vegeta and destroying all of Namek, due to not being able to get the Dragon Balls to work properly. Broly and Paragus were just doing their regular day things, and were just chilling and training and finding bugs to hunt, until suddenly 3 people appeared right in front of Broly, as Goku then realizes the high power he sensed was actually a Saiyan, while Krillin and Gohan are just nauseated by the experience, as it's very, very fast and they couldn't really even handle it, as Broly and Paragus are surprised by the appearance, with Broly about to attack and Paragus just looking on shocked, seeing one of them actually looks like a Saiyan. It's looking at Goku and his hair, as he recognizes that hair. It's similar to a Saiyan in the army, similar to Bardock. He remembers that name. Events of Namek to Paragus and Broly, trying to get them involved and maybe even get them to help them, as you could sense Broly is incredibly strong. Though when the prince is mentioned, Paragus just snaps as he tells Broly to attack, as Broly would rush in, and Goku would realize that Broly's much stronger than he thought, actually pretty close to his own power, as he uses instant transmission to dodge some of the blows, though he realizes that Broly's strikes are pretty sloppy. He's starting to land strikes onto Broly, and Broly realizes he's gonna have to power up even more as he uses more and more power. And Goku realizes that Broly is close to surpassing his own power already, as Broly's eyes start to turn green, and Goku realizes the danger as he uses instant transmission to dodge his hits and land his own hits, as Broly tries to land hits more and more, his eyes turning green more and more during the fight, as the Ozaru starts to awaken, as Broly then shouts out as his war turns fierce, and the Ikari form is finally unleashed to the battlefield, as Broly would scream out, and Goku's knocked back by the power, as Broly's power level is over 7 million, and now Goku's on the back foot, as he realizes that his power is nothing to Broly's. He uses instant transmission to dodge, however he didn't realize that Broly was not just adapting in power, but also in skill, as Broly's actually able to predict his movements after a couple tries, and land a single punch that nearly kills Goku, though Goku still hangs in there, realizing that the only way to save everybody is to defeat him, and to be able to return to Earth, as Goku would then take on Broly more and more, teleporting round and round, though before the fight can conclude, Broly is shocked by Paragus, And the fight ends, and Goku realizes the abuse that Paragus is making Broly go through. Paragus would apologize for his outburst, as he realized that it was wrong, and that it was just not right to do, and just not a great thing to do. As Goku would accept it, as he's very forgiving even in the main series, even to genociders, so he would be fine with this as well. Though Paragus has ulterior motives, obviously, as he's planning to betray Goku, as he's a sympathizer to the prince. Though what Paragus doesn't realize is that the prince is already dead and was caused indirectly by Goku and his friends, so he's making a pretty bad decision. Goku finally gets to explain the rest of the events on Namek, as he explains about Ginyu Frieza and how he's the most evil person he's ever met, and how powerful he was, and how even Broly in his Hikari form wouldn't stand a chance. Though speaking of Broly, he just woke up and has been listening, and he's just kinda nervous. He doesn't really want to fight, though Goku tells him he probably won't have to, as he will train with him, and hopefully he'll be enough and Broly won't have to get involved. And they would just talk and get to know Broly and Paragus. Though Paragus just seems like an old coot, Broly is actually a pretty nice dude and is just suffering on this planet. Don't tell them about the cannibalism that Broly and Paragus did with the Beat's body. Anyway, Goku teleports them off of Vampa and to the highest power they can sense, though Goku's instant transmission is pretty faulty.
In the deep depths of the Galactic Patrol, Moro is captured, and he's just chilling until he sees a couple people teleport in, shocking him. He's surprised that anyone could even know where he is, as Goku would ask him where they are, as Moro would say that they're in, well, the Galactic Patrol, but he can help them. He could tell that they have a goal, as he then reads their minds quickly and realizes their goal is to defeat Frieza, or Captain Ginyu as Frieza. He doesn't really care. So he tells them that he will help them, and he has powerful magic, and that's why they could sense his ki with that teleportation technique, as he had read Goku's mind to know that. Goku, impressed with his psychic and magical power, decides to try and recruit him, and Moro agrees, with both deciding to then head back to wherever Goku wants. As Goku heads to Earth, everybody argues with him not to, but it's just too late, as Goku uses instant transmission to teleport them and Moro back to Earth. Flying through space, a Frieza's ship is going through the cosmos, as Ginyu had finally destroyed Namek and now is heading to another world. As Ginyu is posing in the room as Frieza, everyone's panicking as the Emperor is super scary with his high power. So no one was expecting the Emperor to act so goofy and similar to Captain Ginyu. As Frieza, well, Ginyu actually is trying to just be goofy, as that's how Ginyu just was. A death beam goes right through his chest from under the ship, as someone has arrived, someone who wants revenge for their dear dadly princess, King Cold, as he's here to get revenge on Ginyu for taking Frieza's body and betraying him, as Ginyu would rush back in and fire out a blast with his full power, using everything he has to try and take out King Cold and become the Emperor of the universe. However, well, even the explosion is powerful. Someone comes out, King Cold in his final form, as he's just way too strong, as Ginyu is just beaten around and launched around with no chance of defeating King Cold in his final form. With his final form actually being on par with Semi-Perfect Cell, stated by Toriyama in an interview, and now King Cold would just beat on Frieza for doing what he did, as Ginyu was taken out of the fight, though he's seemingly dead, though who knows with Frieza's body. Finally succeeding to get to Earth, teleports to Mr. Popo, and he's surprised by the big crowd he has, as Mr. Popo can't believe he brought multiple evil keys to the planet in Moro and Paragus, though Goku just says that they're here to help them fight Frieza, as now he's going after them after he destroyed Namek, as Goku feels a little bit guilty, but he doesn't really say it, as he realizes he needs to lead the group. though Krillin and Gohan still question his decision to take Moro, a prisoner of the Galactic Patrol, but Goku just says that Moro is really strong and he could be a good help. Plus he knows he could defeat him in the end, even if he gets some type of crazy power, though King Kai then tunes in and tells them that Frieza's actually dead, as now King Cold has arrived and he's going to Earth, trying to get revenge for what happened with Goku and Frieza. Though Goku is surprised, he decides that they'll just train and get stronger to fight King Cold as well. As he trains with Broly and Gohan, they get stronger and stronger as they go to Goku's house to train, with Broly being able to get somewhat control of the Ikari form thanks to Goku's meditation, and Goku's able to get his Kaioken to times 20, with Gohan getting much stronger thanks to his hybrid potential. As we then see Paragus surprisingly training with Krillin, though Krillin's way stronger. Paragus being a Saiyan allows him to catch up to Krillin and do some good training, though Moro is just an unknown and no one knows what he's doing, though it's seemingly like he's getting stronger in his ki. Boom does the arrival of King Cole begun, and the rest of the squad of the Z Fighters would arrive in Goku, as well as Moro and the others, as Goku would decide to fight him first, and would use his base form, though would then power up the Kaioken, and start to actually be able to swap blows with the Emperor, though eventually he's actually forced to go even further beyond Kaioken, and use his strongest Kaioken of times 20, actually being able to overpower King Cold and force him into his final form, allowing him to easily defeat Goku, though Moro's magic allows Goku to be saved and Broly to step in. Broly slams into King Cold with his Ikari form. Though he's more relative with Goku than King Cold, he's able to adapt over the fight and do better and better, with King Cold being surprised and a little worried that Broly will catch up to his full strength. So he has to push it to his maximum, using all of his powers. Broly can barely keep up anymore. And the only reason he's still in the fight is due to his adaptation, as the others plan what they're gonna do. As Gohan decides that he doesn't want to fight, he's scared, similar to the Cell Saga. Though, when Broly is about to be killed, Gohan rages out and slams a kick into King Cold's face, though it barely does anything, only slightly staggering him, doing better than his father unironically, but anyway, Gohan's about to be killed as Goku realizes he's gonna have to make a hard decision, and he steps in the way, getting hit, having a hole burst right through his chest as King Cold laughs, torturing the Saiyan for ruining his son's life and killing him, causing his death, and fires a beam to cut Goku right in half, as Goku's body would then suddenly shift and break apart as Broly and Gohan watch and see this disaster happen. Broly and Gohan would then feel great rage before screaming out with their rage would burst out and their power would surge up incredibly, turning into Super Saiyans and rushing at King Cold. The Emperor can't keep up, as individually he might be able to stand chance, but against both he just has no chance, as both of them are incredibly powerful, surpassing Goku by many times, as King Cole's power, even in his final form, is just not enough, as he's beaten around and kicked, punched, blasted, as he's ripped apart, as both are in rage, using everything they have to attack the Emperor, using all of their power, every technique they've ever learned, and using what Goku taught both of them to overpower him. As he's pushed back, King Cold tries to do his best, adapting and somewhat being able to hold his own, but thanks to them being a duo, he's just unable to finish them, as they then go and get ready to fire out one last blast at him, a Kamehameha and an energy blast, which consumes King Cold, defeating King Cold, as they use everything they have to overpower and kill King Cold with all their power. Broly began to rage out even after King Cold was defeated. However, Gohan's there to defeat him, and hitting his neck as hard as he can, he's able to knock out Broly, and this is the climactic battle against Final Form King Cold, with our heroes eventually taking the win, though with sacrifice of Goku. Our heroes still have problems to deal with. After the late Goku's reckless decision to take out Moro out of jail, the Galactic Patrol is on the hunt for Moro. Moro's motives are also mysterious, as he's always alone. The Sun family has been devastated after Goku's death. Chi-Chi has been struggling, and Gohan has had to become the man of the house. Gohan promised to himself to continue training so no one else had to die.
Broly also started helping out the Sun family matriarch, feeling somewhat bad about the situation. Broly and Gohan also trained together as Earth's strongest warriors to make sure it is safe. The one good thing is that Chi-Chi is actually pregnant, and Goten is born much earlier than the canon timeline. Gohan was forced to learn the balance he had in Dragon Ball Super as well, during the Tournament of Power arc, way before even the Cell Saga. We arrive in age 764. However, Cold has already been killed, so who's coming to Earth? Well, it's our favorite mass murderer, Captain Ginyu. He just barely survived the encounter with Cold, and luckily for him, the Frieza soldiers had found him and mistaken him for Frieza due to him taking Frieza's body in the last parts. Ginyu learned all about Earth and the battle between Cold and the Good Doers. Ginyu decided on attacking Earth to get the cowards who ran from him on Namek. Ginyu would arrive in the mothership as the fighters would arrive to fight him. Gohan, Broly, Krillin, shockingly Yajirobe, and even more shockingly Moro all come to fight. Without any Dragon Balls in this universe, none of the dead fighters could be brought back from the Saiyan Saga or Namek Saga. Ginyu comes out in his signature pose, but he's in Frieza's body, making it weird. It's not just that, but he's also in a cybernetic body. That makes it even more weird and makes him stronger. Ginyu Frieza then moves and goes on a monologue about his greatness, saying that he will finish all of them off. Gohan, getting annoyed, transforms into the Super Saiyan form. He was able to gain control during the 2-year time skip between the previous arc by training with Broly. He rushes at Ginyu, and with a single attack, ends the captain. Ginyu wasn't even able to finish his speech as he went to the afterlife. Gohan's eyes were serious as he did the deed. Gohan then blasted away the ship, showing the rest of the Frieza army as they are not good people. Gohan then realized that he had lost his Super Saiyan form, and was confused as he didn't turn it off. What no one noticed was Moro looked younger than before this battle. Another 3 years began to pass. Gohan and Broly continued to train. Yajirobe had asked Krillin to train with him as well. He felt that he needed to honor Goku and the other fighters' legacies after he had hid like a coward. Krillin had accepted, and both grew leaps and bounds thanks to Yajirobe's potential. Remember, doing training similar to Kid Goku after Grandpa Gohan's death, he grew to a power level close to 180. Compared to Goku, who only got to a power level of 10. Not saying Yajirobe has higher potential than Goku, but he probably might have potential higher than Goku. I mean, I even made a short about it, go watch it. Paragus, on the other hand, had given up on his life, and didn't even train anymore. Paragus was in Capsule Corp's house, and just chilling, and when he heard a voice in his head, Paragus realized that it was Moro, as he had offered something that he could not resist. Dr. Gero was down on his luck. Goku was killed, but not by him. It was by a damn alien. He hated how all of the aliens had ruined him. First it was Goku, then King Cold. For all he knows, there could be a purple cat that can somehow be even stronger. No, that's impossible. That's madness. If he wants to be able to stop atrocities like what happened to his son, he will need to make something to exterminate all extraterrestrials. Gero puts all of his focus on his ultimate project, Cell. He puts all of the DNA he has of every powerful fighter he knows of. Gero, without purpose, has been led to madness, and all he has left is Cell. The 3 years had finally ended, with Cell being completed, and in his perfect form, thanks to Dr. Gero putting his full focus on Cell, he has it. Gero then awakens the monster, but he made one mistake. As Cell awakened, he looked to the surroundings and looked at the doctor. The doctor ordered Cell to go kill Son Gohan and all the other aliens on the planet, but suddenly felt something in his chest, Cell's arm. Before Gero could even speak, the entire island the lab was in was destroyed. Gohan and Broly were training together when they sensed a power that was even beyond theirs, and it was going towards them. Before they could even move, Cell arrived. He suddenly attacked Gohan, when Broly in his Ikari form landed a punch, as he had been able to get control like Gohan had gotten control of his Super Saiyan. Cell didn't even move before slamming a punch into Broly that launched him into the Sun house. Gohan looked at the house in shock, remembering that Chi-Chi and Goten were in there. Gohan roars in rage, as the house had been destroyed, and Cell's eyes would widen as Gohan had unleashed a new power. Gohan has unlocked Super Saiyan 2.
Gohan slammed his fist into Cell. Gohan's eyes widened as all it did was stagger Cell slightly before the fight began. Gohan uses his rage with Super Saiyan 2 and it isn't a complete stomp, but it's clear that Cell's still stronger. Gohan noticed while he was fighting how Cell's eyes shifted from red to green, but before he could react, he was knocked back to base by a punch from Cell. Rage fueled as Cell laughs as he charges up a blast at Gohan. A voice was then heard from the rubble of the house. A tiny yellow blur slammed into Cell, but only bounced off his body. Gohan's eyes widened as it was Goten. Goten fires out a Kamehameha at Cell in his new Super Saiyan form, but it does nothing to Cell. Gigi calls out for Goten to come back, but Goten doesn't listen. Cell stands in place and allows all of the attacks to land. Cell thanks Goten as he allowed him to realize the potential that all of them had. Cell then slaps away Goten and knocks him out in a single hit. Gohan's rage fuels, but he isn't able to do anything, not even stand. Cell tells Gohan that he's decided to hold a tournament. The Goku Cell is taking hold. Cell then flies off before Gohan can speak. Gohan slams his fist into the ground with rage in his heart. Cell that same day does what he did in canon and broadcasts that the Cell games will be in 12 days. Broly and Gohan train with each other, as well as talking about what happened with Cell, but they hear a voice in their head. Goku was calling them to tell them about the time chamber by using King Kai. Besides that, he also complimented Gohan on his strength, and he says he loves him. Goku also thanks Broly for helping his family while he was dead. This scene would be really emotional, but I don't want to waste your time, and you probably could already picture what would happen in this situation. So just think of it as similar to when Gohan heard Goku's voice in canon right before the Buu Saga, but the other fighters who died also speak. Gohan, Broly, Krillin, and a shockingly Yajirobe all gathered to the time chamber. The fighters, and especially Broly, were shocked to see Paragus and Moro on the lookout. Broly asked his father why he was with Moro, but Paragus just said it was for training. Broly was suspicious as you could tell his father looked a lot younger, but accepted the answer as they had no time to waste. With 11 days until the Cell games, they had 10 chances to use the time chamber in full. Krillin, as the greatest strategist on the lookout, made a plan. First it would be Gohan and Krillin due to Krillin wanting to teach Gohan some tricks. Then it would be Broly and Paragus as the next strongest. Then Krillin and Yajirobe, and so on until they reach the 2-year limit for everybody. Krillin rushes to Gohan and takes him into the time chamber, with Gohan being surprised and sweat dropping with how casual Krillin just revealed the plan. And Krillin would start off the training by teaching him the Destructo Disc and buff forms and many other techniques that could help Gohan be stronger. Gohan would do his best to pay him back, as even though he doesn't know many techniques, he would allow for Krillin to grow many folds in strength. By the end of their first year, Gohan is even able to master the Super Saiyan 2 form, similar to how Trunks did in the manga. Remember, Goku and Gohan were literally able to master Super Saiyan in like 1 year in that room, meaning with Krillin, another master martial artist, he would be able to pull it off, at least I think so. The next duo to go in was Broly and Paragus, and the father and son duo made many gains. Broly gained full control of his Ikari form, and even with Paragus secluding himself, Broly was able to teach him the same form. Broly caught up to Gohan's level as his potential is even higher than Gohan's, while Paragus grew even more, reaching the level of base Broly and Gohan. The next person who went in was Yajirobe. He went in alone and trained in the room with Further, and results showed. He actually even surpassed Krillin by a slight bit, as Yajirobe has insane potential like I have covered many times on this channel. As Moro went in alone without anyone's consent, Yajirobe pulled Gohan aside. He apologized to the boy for not being there in the Battle of King Cold. Gohan said it was fine, but Yajirobe tells him that he owes his father and he owes him since Goku is now dead. Gohan accepts and even trains with the samurai. Krillin also teaches Broly how to do image training with meditation. Moro comes out with 0 strength gains, but with an evil grin. Gohan wanted to attack, but Yajirobe stopped him, as there was a bigger threat they needed to deal with. Yajirobe and Krillin went next in, and became a good bit stronger due to being close in strength. Both actually reached the level of Super Saiyan 2 Gohan before the Chime Chamber in this story, as even though Krillin and Yajirobe seemingly don't have as much potential as you would think, Yajirobe has insane potential, likely higher than any version of Kid Goku in the series, as he's able to gain a far stronger amount of power from hunting wild animals than Kid Goku. Though, after their training, Paragus and Moro would go in, with Broly asking why he would go in with the Goat Man, but Paragus just ignores him, acting out of character. When they come out, it's almost like they never even went in. The final duel to go in was Gohan and Broly, and they grew immensely from this. However, neither are able to get new forms as they have seemingly reached the limits of their potentials. The rest of the time before the Cell Games, the group relaxed at Capsule Corp. Everyone helped Goten train and gain a grasp of Super Saiyan, while Paragus and Moro had not been seen since they had left the lookout, as the day of fate had finally arrived. Everyone arrived at the Cell Games arena and saw Cell actually training. Remember, the only anti-training cells Cell has in this timeline are King Cold's, meaning he is actually willing to train unlike the original, especially knowing the huge potential of Broly and Gohan. Cell has a happy expression as he meets the group, before then calling out the 5 Cell Juniors. Cell tells the group that if any of them intervene, then they will attack, and they're almost as strong as he is. Cell then calls for Broly to fight, as he knows that with Super Saiyan that he'll easily be the strongest. Gohan attempts to stop Broly from going in, but Broly tells him that he will weaken Cell for him. Gohan relents, not wanting to lose another friend but having no choice. Cell Games began as Broly powers up to the Ikari form before rushing at Cell. Cell's smirk disappears as he realizes that Broly doesn't have Super Saiyan. He knows Broly has crazy potential, and yet it is wasted on that form. As Broly gets into striking range, he is suddenly hit by Cell, launching him back to the edge of the arena. Cell beats on Broly, his anger showing as he did not live up to what he was expecting. Cell's eyes turn green before Broly is knocked out of the Ikari form by a rage-fueled punch from Cell. Paragus and Gohan are about to intervene when Magma slams into Cell. Moro had acted for some reason and stopped Cell from killing Broly. Cell called for the Cell Juniors to attack. The Cell Juniors rushed at each fighter and proved to be big threats. Moro opening allowed for Broly to power up back to the Ikari form and slam a fist into Cell. Cell is pushed back a little bit, but then continues his beating on Broly. Punches, kicks, and body blows from Cell caused Broly to be beaten to a pulp. As Cell was about to finish Broly, a kick slammed into his head. It was Gohan in Super Saiyan 2 who had defeated his Cell Jr. and is here now to save Broly. Cell staggers back and coughs up blood, looking at Gohan with shock. Gohan rushes in, and Cell barely blocked it. He was not expecting such power from him, as he barely had time to train. Cell is pushed back to power up to his full strength. Gohan and Cell clash, both being insanely close in strength. The gap is even smaller than the gap between Super Perfect Cell and Gohan in the original series, but still has a slight advantage, just like canon. The two clash fists and kicks with incredible speed. What the two combatants didn't know was that their energy was dropping faster than they should be. Moro slowly draining energy from them as he distracted the Cell Juniors with magma. Finally realized and felt something instinctual. With Moro helping against King Cold, Gero was able to put his DNA into Cell. This allows for Cell to have access to magic. Moro is surprised when he is unable to steal energy from Cell as his magical power is overpowered. With Gohan weakened and Cell getting stronger, Gohan is pushed to his limit. The clash has become so devastating that his arm breaks and he is launched back as Cell laughs, saying that he should have just give up and accept death. Gohan in response charges up one last Kamehameha with his remaining arm. Cell in response charges a Super Kamehameha. The clash of power was incredible, but Gohan was being easily overpowered. His energy keeps on dropping due to Moro and the battle. Gohan is about to give up, realizing that he is going to lose, until he hears a voice. His father, Goku, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha, and even Chaozu call for him not to give up. Gohan feels a surge of power flow into him before screaming, using all of his ki into the attack. Cell is still winning until he feels a blast on his back. Yajirobe and Krillin had found a way to beat the Cell Juniors. Magma then slams into Cell's head. All of the distractions cause his blast to weaken. Goku and Piccolo tell Gohan to push even further as Gohan screams as he briefly loses his pupils, and his power surpasses Cell for a single second. Cell is easily consumed by the blast and killed with an expression of shock. Gohan smiles as he had finally won the battle. Gohan was just blasted in the back by Paragus. Broly's eyes widen as Moro rips off his cloak to show his youthful form. Moro laughs and reveals that he had been absorbing all of the energy in this battle, against Cold and even against Ginyu Frieza. Broly is paralyzed looking at his father, realizing that he chose Moro over him. Paragus attacks Krillin and launches him back. Paragus bulks up, releasing all of the energy he got from Moro. Suddenly Paragus coughs up blood as Yajirobe slashed his back. Broly knocked out of his stupor when Moro landed a big hit on him, nearly knocking him out. Broly is stuck in his base and his energy is constantly being drained. Yajirobe realized the situation and that they needed a heavy hitter. He tells Krillin to hold off Paragus as he runs to Gohan. Krillin fights as best as he can, but the power gap is too large and he is knocked out. Yajirobe arrives at Gohan and fishes out a senzu bean before putting it into his mouth. There is one left over thanks to Yamcha not needing one during the Cell Saga in the original, since he's not here and he's dead. Paragus is already on top of Yajirobe and about to strike him before his eyes roll to the back of his head. Gohan had awakened and defeated him in one punch in Super Saiyan 2. Gohan tells Yajirobe to stay where he is before rushing at Moro. Broly is on the verge of defeat before Gohan in base suddenly strikes Moro. Moro laughs with excitement to have such a great meal from the world's strongest. Gohan starts to feel fear, even with his strategies, as he senses his real ki. Moro's ki is amorphous and corrupted with thousands of dead souls. Moro uses this to land a hit, but Moro is surprised when Gohan is still conscious before he is hit with the force of a Super Saiyan 2. Moro stumbles back as Gohan lands hits on the goat. As Gohan is about to land a decisive blow, his fist is caught. Moro grins as he compliments Gohan for the trick of switching from base to Super Saiyan 2. Gohan starts to feel weak as his energy is drained. Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2 to break Moro's grip, but it proves fruitless. Paragus wakes up as Yajirobe gets ready to fight. He looks to the battle Moro was going through. Gohan and Broly are in a heap as Moro is about to finish them. Paragus has a flashback, the day he saw Broly after he was sent away. The joy he felt as a parent that he did not lose his child. Paragus' aura turns yellow as a Super Saiyan power awakens. Yajirobe looks fearful, but is surprised when Paragus flies at Moro. A steam eruption is about to flow under Gohan and Broly. Gohan looks shocked as Paragus pushed him and Broly out of the way. Broly woke up as he sensed what happened to his father. "I'm sorry, Broly. I love you," Paragus said with laboring breath. Moro laughs as he takes Paragus' energy. Paragus passes a little bit of energy to Broly, but it's barely anything thanks to Moro. Broly's eyes widen as he sees his father dead. Broly's aura had exploded, pushing Gohan back as he had transformed not into just a Super Saiyan, but a full power Super Saiyan. Broly's massive fist nearly one-shot Moro as he launched him back. Moro smiles in delight as he consumes Broly's power, continuing to fight. Broly continues to power up, even with his power being absorbed as he adapts. Gohan feels the power finally be returned to normal, as Moro is forced to put his full focus onto Broly's power. Both Broly and Moro's grow exponentially in a loop of absorption, adapt, and grow as the battle went on. Moro feels his power reach closer and closer to the Grand Supreme Kai's, before starting to feel strange. Broly starts to overpower Moro as Moro starts to get more and more sluggish as he attacks. Moro realizes too late that he absorbed too much power too fast. Moro tries to trap the earth, but Broly is too fast as he slams a fist into him before firing one last attack at Moro. A beam that launches him into space before Moro explodes due to overeating energy. The explosion spans the galaxy and can be seen throughout the whole universe. As Gohan lowers his guard, he remembers something. Broly starts destroying the earth, his rage being truly uncontrollable. Gohan stands powering up as far as he can. Only his Super Saiyan form appears before he rushes to try and somehow defeat Broly. Broly doesn't even flinch as Gohan is launched back just by the shockwave of Broly's blast. Broly switches his attention to Gohan before rushing at him. Gohan apologizes to his father that he had failed to protect the Earth, and his mother for not completing his dream of becoming a scholar one day. Boom! Gohan's eyes widen as Yajirobe shines with a rare usage of ki from the Ronin. His sword shatters as Broly's fist bisects through him. Yajirobe says one last thing: "My debt to your father has been paid," as he smirks in death. Gohan had gained control of Super Saiyan Rage, and though he may lose control soon, he had at least been able to get some control thanks to remembering the sacrifice of Yajirobe. He can't keep this state on for long as he rushes at Broly, his punch landing and causing blood to spew from Broly's mouth before launching him 100 feet away. Gohan feels his control slipping as he plans to finish it. Broly's body shines and launches many mini blasts. Gohan dodges as he puts 2 fingers to his head. Broly misses all of his blasts and then fires one last giant blast. Piccolo appears right behind Gohan as he screams Special Beam Cannon. The beam slams into the blast before both detonating. Broly rushes in only to be hit with a solar flare from Gohan with Tien and Chaozu behind him. Broly screams in agony before forcefully opening his eyes. All he could see was a Kamehameha from Gohan with Goku and Yamcha behind him. Broly is hit dead on and finally defeated and knocked out. When the dust settles and Broly is still there, Gohan smirks before passing out in base. The exciting Cell games began with Gohan defeating Cell and then Moro nearly defeating everybody until Broly's awakening, and in the end, Gohan was actually able to become the victor of the Cell games and prove why he's the strongest on Earth. However, somebody else has had issues. Krillin, without 18, he's gone crazy, remembering the death of Yajirobe, the last of his friends, and now he has no one as he's been image training with an image of Goku. However, thanks to his high prestige in his own mind, Goku always defeats him. As Krillin is training, somebody attacks with an elbow, Dabura, as he attacks with all of his power, and Krillin seemingly is about to lose until he powers up to his full abilities and actually starts to overwhelm Dabura with his strikes and kicks and with powerful blows. As it's seemingly about to be the defeat of Dabura, Babidi would then tune in and see the fight and see how Krillin's actually about to win, and shocked about how his incredible power is actually getting the advantage over Dabura, as he looks at Krillin and then sees that he's the perfect vessel for something. It's been a year since the events of the Cell Saga, and Gohan and Goten have been sparring as Goten's gotten way stronger and Gohan is still getting a bit stronger. He's seemingly hitting a limit as Chi-Chi decides to join in the training to stop stuff like what happened in the Cell games from happening again. As they continue to train, we move to Capsule Corp, to the guilty Broly, who feels bad for the death of Yajirobe and has been training alone, but someone's had an interest in him and is kind of mad that he's just walking in, which is Bulma. However, somebody arrives, somebody powerful, a member of the Galactic Patrol, Beerus, as he attacks him with Jocko the Patrolman, and Broly's able to easily hold them off, though Patrolman in Beerus then uses his laser shotgun to actually hit Broly and stun him, allowing them to take him away. Gohan still starts high school and does pretty well and makes a bunch of friends, even though he is kind of bullied, as he gets a 3-way love triangle, lucky bastard, as he then heads to school one day. However, instead in this, he actually gets teleported away to a strange world and begins to fight, landing a barrage of hits onto the 2 opponents, as he gets nervous and transforms into Super Saiyan, landing a kick and then attacking with many hits, as the 2 aren't able to keep up, as Gohan is far too strong in this timeline, being far stronger than his canon self, as he lands a powerful barrage of hits before landing an uppercut onto Kibito. As he's then about to finish the fight with a Kamehameha, Supreme Kai stops it, teleporting in front of him and being happy with his strength. Though Kibito isn't happy as he's angry at the strength of this mortal and all the other mortals likely out there. Broly on the Galactic Patrol ship realizes that he's been captured as he attacks, and Beerus has to counter him. As Beerus is impressed with Broly's power as he's doing well, but he dodges every hit. Broly can't land a single hit, and even with adapting, he's still struggling to hit Beerus at all. Beerus continues to dodge and dodge, though Broly starts to adapt himself, learning how to dodge similarly to how Beerus does, as Beerus is impressed that he's able to somewhat copy Ultra Instinct. Now, Broly does have his anger issues, meaning he's never getting completed Ultra Instinct, but I think it's possible for him to get regular Ultra Instinct, as we saw in the manga, where Goku used the Saiyan instincts to actually use Ultra Instinct Sign, which boosted the form's power. So I think it's possible for Broly to at least somewhat learn this technique of Ultra Instinct. As the fight would continue on, Broly tries to escape more and more, and tries to push Beerus away, but Beerus is just too fast, as he dodges every hit, and eventually, Beerus is able to actually stop Broly with the stun gun. Gohan has quickly started his training with the Supreme Kais and was able to easily complete all of their training, even pulling out the Z-Sword with how strong he is in this timeline, even learning healing and Kai abilities, as Shin decides to reunite him with Goku as he heard he was strong from Gohan, and decided that it would be a good idea. However, he wasn't able to get any of the other fighters as he didn't deem them worthy due to them not having pure hearts. I mean, they all did a bunch of bad things, even Yamcha. As Gohan is upset, however, he accepts it and at least is happy that he could see his father, as he then decides to get into a spar with his dad. As the spar would begin, both used Super Saiyan 2, and it was seemingly even, as Goku had been training for many years in the afterlife after the battle against Cold. However, Gohan actually starts to pull ahead. He has his rage, and he also learned many martial art techniques to close the gap with Krillin in the time chamber, meaning Goku is actually forced back, and forced to use even more power, as he then powers up even further beyond to Super Saiyan 3, complimenting Gohan and saying that he's actually really strong, before then stepping back into the fight, as he's able to easily overpower Gohan. Gohan does his best, and with his rage he is able to somewhat swap blows, but he's just inferior to Goku in every way. So Gohan decides to use even more power, and powers up to his Super Saiyan Rage power, which he had been able to get control of after the past 6 years of training, as he's then able to actually get the advantage of Goku, starting to actually win the fight. Goku's surprised by this power as he had never seen it before, as Shin actually senses a little bit of divine ki in Gohan's form, as Gohan starts to pull ahead, slamming many powerful attacks into Goku, as they then get ready for the final clash of the battle, as Goku prepares his own Kamehameha with Gohan doing the same, as they then fire them out. And as the beams fire, they're actually almost evenly matched, well, except that's just sadly not true. At least in the canon it might have been, but here, Gohan's far stronger than Goku, as he's able to easily overpower Goku with his strength and end the battle with Goku being the loser. As Goku would compliment Gohan for how strong he is, and now he knows that Earth will be defended well, as he would then hug Gohan as he has to go since the Supreme Kai's time limit for him to be there is gone. The only reason he even stayed in the original was due to Boo. As we then move to Broly as he talks to Beerus and Jacob, as they talk about the situation with Moro, as Broly would tell them the truth about the situation and how it wasn't him who released him, and he was also the one who defeated him in the end, even though he had no control of himself. As Beerus, realizing how strong Broly is, decides to train him and try and get him to control that power so he can use it for good and become a member of the Galactic Patrol in the future. As they begin to spar, as we move back to Gohan as he's been training, but the Supreme Kais have finally found Babidi and where he is, where his spaceship is as well, as they then decide to teleport in, with Gohan joining them, as they teleport to where Babidi's ship is, and arrive to the spherical ship. As they decide to go into the ship and try and stop the evil, they would run through the ship. They see many things, but they're able to easily defeat most opponents, until they eventually face off against one of Babidi's strongest duos, Pui Pui and Yakon, as Gohan would take them on and try his best to defeat them. However, Gohan realizes that it's way too easy. Pui Pui's just too slow and can't even touch him, while Yakon can land hits with his claw attacks, but Gohan's just able to knock him back with a barrage of punches, before then going after Pui Pui and finishing him with a Kamehameha, before going after Yakon, and realizing that he could overwhelm him with energy after realizing his light absorption ability, as he overwhelms him with this power of his Super Saiyan 2's light, as Yakon is then made fiery before then exploding with a big boom. As Dabura would see this, he would be impressed and will want to fight Gohan, as he seems to be extremely powerful, and he'll give enough energy for Boo, as the Demon Realm would suddenly appear as Dabura would begin his battle against Gohan. They would clash blows, as both are incredibly strong warriors who are at the level of a Super Saiyan 2, except Gohan's far beyond that level at this point, already surpassing Dabura even 7 years before in just his regular Super Saiyan form. As Dabura is pushed back and is shocked by the power, he decides to use one of his trump cards, the Stone Spit, as he spits at Gohan, but Gohan's able to easily dodge, and when he sees the ground turn to stone, he would get mad and use more power, realizing that he almost lost, and if it wasn't for him dodging, he would have actually lost the battle as he decides to go all out on him. And Dabura gets overwhelmed by Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and is pushed back more and more and more as Dabura tries to get the fight back in his favor. However, he's just unable to, as Gohan would end the battle with a Kamehameha as Dabura is defeated by the attack. And we continue on as the Demon Realm is suddenly disappearing, as he's in a temple, but he's hit with a kick in the head as Krillin attacks. Gohan tries to fight him in base and is shocked by Krillin betraying them. However, Krillin's just way too powerful, and even with the Z-Sword, he's just unable to keep up at all. His power is just too small as he tries to slash him with many slashing attacks, but Krillin's just unaffected and easily blocks him as the Kai would take the sword from him quickly and drop it as Gohan would go Super Saiyan 2 and fight Krillin. This time it's much more even, as thanks to Krillin's many power-ups and potential links from the Majin boost, he's able to keep up with Gohan, especially with his potential from Dragon Ball Super. While Gohan is still able to keep up with Super Saiyan 2 as it's still pretty strong, and he's already stronger than his canon version by a lot, it's still pretty close, and they clashed fists many times. It was a deadlock as the two were equally matched, as the two would then step back and decide to use more power as they would power up with everything they have, Krillin using the Kaioken and Gohan using Super Saiyan Rage, as both would then use their full abilities, red versus blue, very obvious, good versus evil as they would clash. However, Gohan actually has the advantage here, though it's not by much. Krillin had grown a lot. With Kaioken being far above even times 1000, he's able to keep up with the Super Saiyan Blue level multiplier of Gohan's Super Saiyan Rage form. Thanks to his skill, he's actually able to match him, and they're able to go blow for blow again, as Gohan is shocked by Krillin's strength. He never knew he could reach this level, as Krillin would then shout out Solar Flare, as he would use Gohan's technique that he had used against his father against him. So as they fill the meter of Boo, Babidi realizes that they have way more than enough energy, actually over 200%, as he gets ready to release the monster as Krillin and Gohan continue the clash, until suddenly the Orin Temple is vanished, and dust starts to sweep up as a new area would be released, thanks to Boo's release, as he then fights Gohan and Krillin. And they're actually able to dominate him. He can't keep up at all, and even his regeneration is starting to be overcome by their greater power. However, Boo, being forced back like this, tries all of his dirty techniques, like the candy beam. However, they all just don't work. And he decides to do something that he never thought to do before, as he knocks Krillin away with a surprise punch, with her then putting his gum all over Gohan. Gohan doesn't understand what's happening, however, he's being absorbed, as Gohan is just unable to stop it since he's just off guard, as he's then fully taken by the goo. This snaps Krillin back to his normal self, realizing that he had failed Goku, and now he would have to face the wrath of an even stronger Boo as he decides to try and save Gohan. So he uses his Kaioken to fight Boo, but Buhan is just far too powerful. His might is even greater than the canon version of Buhan, thanks to Gohan being so much stronger than even Ultimate Gohan from canon with Super Saiyan Rage, as Krillin is knocked back easily, getting dominated and beaten around by a flurry of punches, as Krillin just tries to fight on and never give up like he used to, like in the Tenkaichi Budokai against Piccolo, but he's just unable to keep up at all. As Krillin lies on the ground, seemingly defeated, he's about to give up until Goku tells him something from the afterlife. "Don't give up, Krillin!" As Buhan is about to attack, he prepares one last move to end it, but Krillin has a flashback as his energy starts to soar, and he remembers something 10 years before training with Roshi, as Roshi was teaching him something, as he dodged his attacks automatically, and was able to actually start getting the advantage even though Krillin was way stronger than him. He continued to dodge and weave, being able to land many hits on Krillin, though in the end he does defeat his master, but he would want to learn what his master did when he was dodging attacks. as Krillin would then learn from his master his final lesson, as he then would return to the present, and his Majin symbol would burn and be destroyed. Here, Krillin awakens as his power is incredible, as with his fully focused heart and mind and body into battling Gohan. His power has reached a new high, as even Gohan can't keep up, his power being so strong that it ripples Gohan's body every time he strikes him, as he lands a powerful uppercut before then landing a powerful barrage of hits as well, and kicks him with everything he has, as Gohan is just launched back. Gohan's shocked by this power, and he decides that he needs it for himself, as he does his best to absorb Krillin, and Krillin decides to use this to his advantage, as he then gets ready to charge up an attack. As he dodges and weaves Gohan's gum, he eventually gets into position to use something he hasn't used in a while, a powerful attack, the Super Kamehameha, as he would then start up the charge up for the technique, or then getting the opportunity to fire the attack. And as he's about to use the technique, the gum would cover him as Gohan would absorb him using his gum, as Gohan could feel that his power would increase, as he starts laughing, so happy that he had finally won and defeated everybody on Earth, though he's surprised when a giant egg of Gohan inside comes out of him, as suddenly Krillin would come out of his body, having used the Ki Shield to get into Boo, before then firing out a Kamehameha, and this attack being so incredibly powerful that it's even enough to defeat Boo in his entirety and destroy all of him, as Krillin has finally redeemed himself, as Krillin feels happy. After the epic battle against Boo, where Krillin was able to unlock his pure Krillin form and defeat Boo with a powerful Kamehameha, he's been training with the Sun family, trying to make it up for being, well, Majin, and Gohan accepts the training. However, Goten, well, he feels left out, almost like he could never keep up, as their power is so incredible. What could allow him to catch up to them? Beerus awakens from his slumber and immediately asks about the Saiyans, as he had a prophecy about a Super Saiyan God, as Whis would look through his staff to see if there's any Saiyans around, and he was surprised to see a Saiyan training with his brother, and Beerus decides that that's the perfect Saiyan to go after, as they then go on their flight through space to reach the Saiyan known as Broly. Speaking of Broly, as he goes with Beerus to go after the Heaters, who are a crime gang in the universe, they then go to planet Cereal, as that's one of their last known locations. They arrive on the planet, and they see that Beerus and Whis have already arrived, and Beerus, knowing who they are, tells Broly to bow, as Beerus would then quickly begin a battle with him, as he wants to test his strength, and is surprised by his power. He's actually a pretty good rival. I would say Broly by this point is getting close to the level of Super Saiyan God Goku from Battle of Gods, meaning he would actually be able to keep up with Beerus pretty well. Though as the fight continues, Beerus starts to land a combo of attacks, punches, kicks, and even a brutal assault on Broly as he uses more and more power, and eventually Broly is starting to get overwhelmed, and even with his adaptation, he's just unable to keep up with Beerus' full power and full ability of power, as eventually Beerus would knock him away with one last punch, which knocks out Broly. Beerus was disappointed. Why is he so weak, this damn mortal? As he looks for Gohan next, seeing him as the next strongest, as Bulma's birthday would begin. And the fighters, well, they just do random crap. Gohan's just swinging the Z-Sword drunk, as Chi-Chi, trying to ignore her son acting like an idiot, trains with Goten, as Goten's been inspired to train for a while. And Krillin is, well, just watching the crazy chaos going on. And Bulma, of course, is just embarrassed to be friends with all these people. They're all a bunch of idiots compared to her, who's a genius and the smartest woman on the planet. Even the richest, apparently stated by Chi-Chi in the anime. Though Beerus had already been at the party for a while, as Whis, with his very good arguing skills and the lack of people at the party, had allowed him to actually argue into the party and getting them a spot. Though with Beerus there, it could be a big threat to everybody on Earth. Luckily for Earth, Beerus was able to use his staff to contact the only living Namekian that could create Dragon Balls, Minato, and he is willing to grant their wish due to the God of Destruction being involved, as he then summons the dragon, and wishes to know what the Super Saiyan God is, as the godly Saiyan is a Saiyan in base form using God Ki, and that you can summon a Super Saiyan God by 5 Saiyans pouring their power into a 6th pure-hearted Saiyan. though Minato then starts to age a year due to the wish, and he then wishes them goodbye as Broly and Beerus head back to Earth, and also to try and find Saiyans for the godly ritual, and they fly away, though somebody else was watching, a powerful sniper, who is mad that Minato is with the Saiyans. Beerus is enjoying this party. The food is amazing, the dancing is fun, and he's just having a great time. However, Beerus has issues. Patience issues. As now he gets mad, and now wants to fight, as he wants to find the Super Saiyan God, as he's suddenly kicked by Gohan, who in Super Saiyan 2 has no chance and is forced to go Super Saiyan Rage, now being able to surpass even what Broly showed to Beerus, as Beerus is actually having a decent amount of fun, and is actually having to use more power than he's ever used before. His power is increasing more and more as Gohan adapts. However, Beerus is just unable to find a good rival in him, as eventually he's able to power up enough to be able to get the advantage over Gohan. Gohan struggles, and even with his maximum ability, he's just unable to keep up with Beerus' full might, as eventually he's pushed back, and Beerus decides to use more and more power until he gets serious, starting to kick around Gohan with ease, as Gohan gets blasted away and destroyed. He can't do anything as everybody watches, everyone sulks and gets mad, especially Goten. Though as Beerus is about to finish Gohan off, suddenly somebody would rush in and try and stop him from hitting Gohan. Gohan tells him to stop as he's hit by Beerus. However, this figure lands a powerful punch on his head, before then landing a barrage of hits on Beerus, and even landing a punch which actually flinches the God of Destruction, though eventually he stops the attacker with his finger, though it's Goten, as he was able to actually get the advantage and even catch Beerus off guard, though he's then able to easily elbow Goten out and knock him out with this hit. He's had enough as he decides to try and destroy the planet, though somebody talks to him, Beerus, as he uses his staff to tell him that they found the way to summon the Super Saiyan God. Everyone is shocked when Goten is the one who goes in the middle, while Gohan holds his hand as well as Broly, as they then try and find more Saiyans to summon the God. But they just can't find anybody, though. Eventually, Bulma reveals that Broly had actually impregnated her a couple years back when he returned from the Galactic Patrol. Of course, Videl also reveals her pregnancy. And finally, Broly and Beerus knew there was a limited amount of Saiyans and found Tarbles. Then they're able to summon the Super Saiyan God. Goten's power was incredible. It was just unrivaled by anybody else as Beerus starts to have fun. He's definitely the strongest opponent he's fought yet in this new godly state. However, even with this, it seems like Beerus is still out of Goten's league. Goten pushes his limits, adapting the god power to himself, and using it to its maximum efficiency, but Beerus just still has the advantage. He's too powerful as he lands a barrage of attacks which nearly knocks out Goten, though Goten pushes his limit and uses power even beyond Super Saiyan Rage Gohan to start landing good hits on Beerus until knocking him back. In the end, the battle comes down to a clash of beams of power, though in the end, Beerus' Hakai-type attacks and erasure abilities are allowing him to win the fight. Though he actually stops this attack, and even decides to teach Goten some tricks as he actually appreciates Goten's power, as it becomes kinda like a teaching session. Beerus first shows off his ki absorption, which Goten's able to learn, and shows off his destruction energy. However, Goten isn't able to learn it, and eventually Beerus would finish him off with all of his power. As Earth seemingly about to be destroyed, Beerus falls asleep, as Whis decides to actually take him back home, saving Earth. Here, Resurrection of F just doesn't happen because, well, everybody's on Earth, so, it wouldn't happen. Instead, it's replaced by the birth saga where the two babies are born from Bulma and Videl, and Goten would also train up Tarble, making him not complete body. As we then have Broly training on Whis' planet thanks to being with Bulma, kind of, and Goten eventually joins in after a while, and they're able to learn a lot from Whis, with Goten learning God Ki and Broly learning more control of his power. We move into the Universe 6 arc, but it's just a complete stomp. I mean, everybody's way stronger than the original timeline, as even Hit is just no match for even just Super Saiyan God Goten, who would literally probably like one-shot him or easily defeat him. As we move into the Granola arc, as it happens much earlier due to the Battle of Gods happening in this way, as we have him stalking Gohan and realizing that he's a Saiyan as he eventually decides to go after him, sneaking around and trying getting a chance to land a good sniper shot as he prepares one powerful blast with his finger, charging it up and firing at Gohan. Granola actually hit Gohan? Well, we'll see, as Gohan seems to be impacted by the attack, though Granola is suddenly surprised by a mighty Kamehameha, which is charged right behind him, though Granola is just barely able to dodge the attack. However, this leaves him right open to one more attack from Gohan, which knocks him down and allows for Gohan to talk to him, asking why he attacked him, as Granola then gets angry and tries to power through, telling him that he's the one and his Saiyan friends, as well as all the Saiyans, killed his mother, though Gohan then smiles, saying that they didn't do that. Well, actually, they helped to kill off Frieza's father, who caused the order for Planet Vegeta's destruction, though Granola initially thinks that maybe he could believe him. However, he realizes that he can't be trusted, he's a Saiyan, as he then tries to fire out one more attack. However, he's then knocked out by Gohan. Zeno, without his future self, is getting a lot more bored. He has no friends to talk to, well, besides Goten, thanks to the Universe 6 tournament, as he suggests the Universal Tournament, as Zeno agrees and says he'll destroy all the universes, starting off the Universal Survival Saga with Goten feeling really bad and going to Gohan to try and, well, get a plan to try and save their universe. Gohan scolds him, but then they plan on getting all the fighters by going around and meeting their friends. Goten starts off by contacting Beerus and Whis about the tournament, and Broly's immediately joining the team, as his incredible power in Super Saiyan presses Goten in his god form. As we then go to Gohan, who is with Krillin, and after training with them, he's able to get Krillin and Master Roshi to both join the tournament thanks to their incredible skill. As then he goes to his mother and is surprised by her power, getting her to join the team. As we then move on to the next person to join the team, which is actually Tarble, as he's been training with Broly and Goten and has gotten pretty powerful, and is a pretty decent member to join the team for the Universal Survival Saga. Goten actually starts training with Beerus to learn some of his powers as Whis watches, and is surprised by Beerus being such a good teacher, teaching him many destructive abilities. However, somebody contacts Goten. It's Goku, as he tells him to try and recruit him and one other person for the tournament, as only 2 people can return from the dead. I'm more just putting this because, like, you know, it would be OP if we had all the Z fighters, as Gohan then talks to Granola, and Granola is still resisting, not believing that there's a universal tournament coming up. As we then go to Goten, who's at Baba's palace after getting directions from Goku, as he tells Baba to revive Goku and Piccolo, as Baba will do it because she doesn't want to die, as Piccolo and Goku are brought back. And Goten asks who Piccolo is, as Goku would explain that Piccolo was Gohan's teacher, and Goten, getting really excited, asks for a spar, and Piccolo accepts, as they then head outside to fight each other at full power, as Goku decides to join in and they begin, Goten being surprised by their powers as he needs Super Saiyan God to keep up with them without them even using their full powers, as Goku and Piccolo are shocked that they can't sense Goten's ki and that he's actually stronger than both of them, as he's able to parry both of their attacks as they're forced to use their full powers. Kaioken, and for Piccolo his potential unlocked by a Namekian from the afterlife, as both now can actually keep up with Goten, landing good hits, but Goten with his skill training from Whis is able to still keep up, shocking the duo as they have to all 3 of them go full power for an intense battle, as Goku and Piccolo use many combo attacks while Goten fires out a Kamehameha, which nearly defeats all of them. However, in the end, the spar ends in a draw, as they're all impressed with each other's powers, as Goku and Piccolo have definitely reached the realm of the gods, and are probably even stronger than canon Super Saiyan Blue Goku with how much training they're getting in the afterlife and how strong they are. Gohan continues to try and convince Granola to join the team. His sniping abilities and the training they've been doing would allow him to be a good asset, and while Granola still doesn't really believe any of this stuff, He decides to eventually join thanks to Gohan having his pure heart and seeming trustworthy, as Gohan then remembers Piccolo in Granola, and when he sees Piccolo he starts crying as Piccolo had been gone for his whole life since he died in the Saiyan saga, as they have to leave for the tournament. And this tournament's going to be one of the greatest tournaments of all time since it's cross-universal with so many universes, as the team is ready to take on anything, as they have the strongest team, even stronger than the canon team of the Tournament of Power from the original timeline, as they have many powerful fighters. The tournament begins with the San family taking on Universe 9, their powers being far beyond them as they beat them around. Even Chi-Chi is probably stronger than even a Super Saiyan Goku from canon, as none of them can keep up at all. Even their teamwork is nothing to the San family's teamwork, as they're eventually able to finish off the fight with a powerful Kamehameha of the family. As Tarbo and Broly take on Universe 9, they're far beyond them as they're all kind of just a bunch of clowns, except one, Obani. As eventually Obani would be the last one left in the universe, and his shades would eliminate Tarbo as Broly is forced to fight with him, though his instincts activate and he's able to dodge some of his Shadow's hits and finish him with a single punch that eliminates Obani from the ring. As the humans of Krillin and Master Roshi take on Universe 4, their tricky fighting styles nearly eliminating them, even Deimos' small size allowing them to nearly sneak up on them. However, Krillin and Roshi's advanced senses allow them to overcome Universe 4 and use their powers to overwhelm them. Piccolo had decided to fight the Universe 6 Namekians, incredible warriors who he wanted to battle due to them being Namekians from another universe, as Granola would watch from afar, as he wants to see what happens as Piccolo takes them on, and individually he would actually be able to overpower them. However, he's actually forced back as Granola is forced to actually snipe one of them, so Piccolo gets the chance to power up into his power awakened state, now being far beyond both of them at the same time, as they're actually overwhelmed by Piccolo, as he's able to finish them off with a Mukanko Sapo. As Goten and Goku take on Universe 2, and they're able to destroy them using their familiar love to overcome their, well, just regular romantic love. However, one of them survives, Ribrianne, as she's able to escape by using her love powers to overwhelm Goku and Goten for a brief moment with a weird ability, the Love Black Hole. She's then able to fly away, making sure that she doesn't get hit by the Sun family duo of father and son. Speaking of the Sun family, Chi-Chi is taking on Boda Magetta with the help of Krillin and Master Roshi. Using their human skills of martial arts, they're able to outsmart the giant, and even though Master Roshi eventually gets eliminated by the powerful being, Chi-Chi and Krillin are able to succeed in being able to get insults into Magetta before then eliminating both Botama and Magetta with a double Kamehameha of friends from the past, from the original Dragon Ball where they had met a while back. Though suddenly Chi-Chi's actually sneak attacked and eliminated by Frost in Krillin's place, as Krillin then easily eliminates him with a Kamehameha using the Kaioken, eliminating Frost. As Goku had picked the fight with Jiren and the battle began, well, it kinda began because Goku was getting destroyed. Even with his Super Saiyan 3 Kaioken, he was just nothing to the Pride Trooper. Being only blue level from canon is pretty pathetic compared to Jiren's true power in this timeline of being the exact same, but still being far beyond a Super Saiyan Blue and with no Ultra Instinct. Goku's just being overwhelmed, and even with his maximum power, he's just barely able to land hits on Jiren as he's eventually pushed back to the edge of the arena, as Jiren fires out a heat blast. As Goku tries to counter, he's just unable to, as Jiren's blast would fully consume him, as Jiren would push it right into him. Though many would think that he would go Ultra Instinct, he wouldn't, as he hasn't been trained by Whis, meaning Goku is just eliminated, as Gohan and Goten would scream out and attack. However, Toppo and Dispo would get in the way. In their base forms, they stand no chance, as they're forced to power up to their full powers, Super Saiyan Rage and Super Saiyan God, as Goten would take on Toppo, while Gohan would take on Dispo. As it's a tag team battle, they would switch opponents many times, as the Sun family is doing about equally with the Pride Troopers when they battle, as they're able to stalemate. And eventually this fight is just not resolved by the fighters, as they're eventually separated. While this happened, Piccolo fights Aniraza, as he had defeated Universe 3 for the most part, though in his small state he had no chance, as he is forced to actually go into a giant form by using the power he had in the 23rd Budokai, as he's able to fight Aniraza as an equal, if not slightly superior, as his blue level power is able to overwhelm Aniraza. However, Aniraza uses his abilities, as Piccolo is forced to awaken further into his orange state, and then is able to eliminate Onirazo, though due to his big size he's also eliminated. Broly was impressed with the Universe 6 Saiyans, he decides to take them on in this tournament. However, Kaba is just easily overwhelmed as he doesn't have the adaptation of the other two female Saiyans because of plot, so he's just easily eliminated. As Broly would then take on Kale and Caulifla, and similar to the fight with Goku, they're able to adapt and eventually slightly hurt Broly in his Super Saiyan form. However, they're still weaker than Broly by a pretty significant margin, since Broly would be even stronger than like a Blue Kaioken Goku, as they're then eventually forced to fuse. However, somebody steps in, sniping their earrings as Granola had sniped them away, allowing for Broly to now just dominate without the worry of fusion, eventually landing a double lariat on both of them and launching them right outside of the arena. Though they try and stay in the arena by using Ki Blast, the momentum is just too much as they're eventually flung out of the arena thanks to Broly's incredible power, as they are sent out of the arena and eliminated. As Broly then gathers with the rest of the team, getting ready for the final skirmish of the tournament. Now only 4 universes are left, with Universe 2 and 6 only having 1 fighter, while the Universe 7 and 11 have multiple fighters. 3 and 5 is now everybody gets ready to skirmish with each other as everybody sizes each other up before then getting ready to battle in a very intense final clash. The first of these battles is Broly and Granola versus Hit versus Dispo, as Dispo speeds around landing many pot shots while Granola tries to snipe Hit. However, Hit's time skip is just too OP, though he is able to land a couple sniper shots on Dispo. However, he's just very overwhelmed here. I mean, he's only at like Buu Saga levels of power compared to everybody else who's far beyond that. As Broly tries to protect him, however, it's just not enough as Granola is just eventually eliminated, as Broly is forced to fight on his own against these powerful foes. Who will win this intense battle? The second of these battles is Krillin versus Ribrianne, and Krillin's way stronger. However, his insecurities about not having love gets to him as Ribrianne keeps spouting about her love, and she actually loves Krillin as this manipulation weakens Krillin and allows for Ribrianne to land many hits, including some love hearts. As Krillin is just kind of dazed and is just unable to keep up with the love barrage. On the other hand, Goten's just being overwhelmed by Toppo's poses and justice moves, as his Super Saiyan God form is forced to evolve to keep up with the insane hero, as he does so many poses, similar to his brother as the Great Saiyaman, though eventually they're equally matched in power and in skill, allowing for this battle to last a long time, being a clash of destruction. As the final battle between Jiren and Gohan is extremely intense, they're both incredibly powerful warriors, Gohan starting off in his base form and impressing Jiren by landing many hits, being stronger than even his father in his base, though Gohan is using some of his Super Saiyan Rage power in his base form, as this is the lightning effect on screen, as he's able to keep up with Jiren and eventually force him to use more power, which starts to overwhelm his base form even with the partial Super Saiyan Rage power. He's forced to then use more power and fully power up to his Super Saiyan Rage state, being able to take on Jiren at his best with this power. Now being able to deflect attacks from Jiren and force him back and even block some of his moves and blasts, giving Gohan an extreme advantage as we move on back to the battle against Dispo and Hits, as Hits able to defeat Dispo with an insane combo of attacks, though this one lapse in judgment allows for Broly to reach his full power Super Saiyan state and get control, being able to then defeat Hit with a full power assault of punches and kicks, allowing for Broly to move on to another fight. While Krillin feels like a child, he's about to be smashed by Ribrianne as he feels like there's no hope, and how he'll never be loved and no one actually has love for him, though Goku calls out for him, telling him that he can win this fight, as Krillin then feels a surge of power as pure Krillin awakens, and now with his power he speed blitzes Ribrianne's giant hand, before then eliminating the most hated fighter of the entire Tournament of Power, as he then stands falling out of the arena like a badass, as he then move on to the Battle of Toppo. With sheer desperation to win the tournament, he turns into his God of Destruction form now, overwhelming Goten. As Goten just can't keep up anymore, and even with his God form evolving, he still just is nothing to the God of Destruction power. It seems like he's hitting his limit. He tries everything, all the Ki Blasts and even a partial Hakai, but it can't match the real thing. So he then hears something, Beerus, as he tells him to use what they used in training, as he remembers that Beerus had taught him about destruction while they had trained on his planet right before the Tournament of Power, as he then is able to use his God of Destruction power of Ultra Ego, and now able to shock Toppo, allowing him to eliminate himself with Toppo and allowing for only one fighter to be left, Jiren. Gohan had pushed him to his limit using his full power, now overwhelming Gohan as Gohan is pushed back, seemingly about to be defeated until he accesses a new power. Derived from his childhood rage, Gohan awakens a new rageful power on top of his Super Saiyan rage form. Super Saiyan Beast, as now he's able to take on Jiren at his best and push him to his limit, as Jiren is forced to use everything he has to keep up with Gohan. But even then, Gohan still has the advantage. His red sparks would surround his Super Saiyan rage state as his eyes are red, as now they're swapping blows evenly, though somebody arrives to tip the scales of the fight. Broly, in his full power Super Saiyan, he's pushing him back, though he's then able to access a new state from his training with Beerus, True Ultra Instinct, using his Saiyan instincts with Ultra Instinct to the best of his abilities. He's now able to keep up with Jiren with Gohan as well, and now together they team up and blast away Jiren, seemingly defeating him, though Jiren pushes his limits and adapts, as this limit-breaking battle makes all three way more powerful, though in the end, stamina becomes a big issue, as Gohan and Broly's new powers aren't permanent, as they then lose their stamina and lose their powers. Jiren launches them away as they're seemingly defeated, though they don't give up, as they eventually return from the edge of the arena and now take on Jiren. As Jiren tries to defeat them, though Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and full power Broly push him to his limit, as even now their adaptation allows them to keep up, as well as Jiren being weakened, as all three clash with full power, though Jiren is starting to feel the pressure as fighting two powerful fighters on par with himself. He's nearly running out of stamina, and this allows both of them to then charge at the mighty warrior and try to push him out of the arena. Eventually they reach the far edge, and as they're about to be eliminated, Broly, feeling bad for all of the bad things his rage has caused, pushes Gohan out of the way, causing him and Jiren to be eliminated, and causing Gohan to be the winner of the Tournament of Power. And of course, he wishes back all the universes, as he has a pure heart, ending this story in pretty much the most perfect way possible, as Gohan was pretty much the main character, as superhero will be covered in a special in a later video. So yeah, that's the end of this timeline, so yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to subscribe, like, and press that notification button to see more Dragon Ball content like this.